On today's lesson, I'm going to share the three main reasons why you're getting past at the net. And the third one is something you probably haven't heard before. And then I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate the same movements and balance and positioning so you can get more balls up there. So let's get started. All right, so let's play this point from this year's US Open. I want you to pay attention to the girl in I formation on the near side, and then we'll kind of talk through what happens in the point. So you can see we got a second serve to the backhand body and a great cross-court return that gets by her. Now, when you can't get balls at the net, it's generally going to happen for one of three reasons. Number one, it could be that your positioning isn't correct. And if you've watched any of my past videos, you know that I absolutely love her positioning here. She's an I formation, but she's towards the side they're serving to, and she's covering the right half of the court. And you can see she basically just pops up with her right foot off the center service line. Absolutely perfect positioning. So the fact that she didn't get this volley has nothing to do with her on-court positioning. The second reason, which could apply to a lot of you, is that maybe your athleticism just isn't what it needs to be. Maybe you haven't worked out enough. Maybe you're not running suicides or working on your strength and conditioning. Or maybe you're just older, and as a 75-year-old player, you aren't able to explode off the ball like you used to. That certainly doesn't apply to this player that's currently competing in the US Open. So we know her positioning is good. We know her athleticism is good. The third reason why you would get past, and it definitely applies here, is your footwork or your balance is off. And so what I want you to watch is when she pops up here and you see this ready position, it's far too wide. Her right leg is way outside of her right shoulder, and her left foot is way outside of her left shoulder. So this ready position or this stance is too wide, which makes her unexplosive. And so what she needs to do is when you watch her right foot, she actually has to reposition it behind her. My coach used to call this a negative step. So instead of moving to her right, she actually takes her right foot back to her left. And this is a problem for a couple reasons. Number one, she loses that distance. So she loses that 1 foot of court coverage, but it also took her time to do it. So this ball is almost clearing the net, and she hasn't even pushed off her right leg yet. So when she does, you can see it's probably only 1.5 feet away from her. And if she had taken a step to her right instead of her left, she probably could have gotten, and she would have been moving faster. So this is called a negative step. She moves to her left, even though she wants to be pushing off to her right. And so now I'm going to go on court right now and kind of show you the correct steps and the correct movements you can take so you can stop getting past. All right, so we talked about the player in the video having too wide of a stance, but how do you know what the correct ready position is for you? And for me, it honestly comes down to feel. I have heard that your feet should be slightly wider than your shoulder width, which probably is accurate for most people. But for me, it's just where I feel strongest. So if this was my ready position right here, my legs are too close and I really don't feel like I can push hard off my left leg. So for me, this feels about strongest, which falls in line with that general rule of being just outside my shoulder width. The player in the video was here. And so it makes total sense why she felt like she had to take her foot inside to go there. So if I was in regular formation here, here's my ready position. And when I come in and step and I see that ball middle, here is my first move instead of this one right here. And that negative step is something I see all the time, both in doubles and honestly in other situations. Like when people are running for a drop shot, a lot of times they'll actually take a step back before they run forward. So that ready position is huge. The other thing we want to work on is that we don't want to step off our left leg and do this move. Now, sometimes if someone absolutely rips the ball, you might not have time to take the 2 steps, but generally speaking, we want to reposition the outside foot. So if I'm right here and the ball's in the middle, there's my first move. And if the ball is to my alley, there's my first move with my left foot. So no negative steps, a nice athletic base. You got to feel it out for yourself, but it probably is just outside shoulder width. And now I'm going to try to demo some of these on the court as well. All right, so we've got some volleys here. I'm out of the eye. I got Carlos on the other side feeding me some easy ones and some difficult ones. And just check out my right foot here in slow motion. I reposition it towards the side I'm moving to. My toes are pointed towards that target so I can easily push off and get that volley. So it's just a real simple movement, and you just want to drill it and make it part of your regular footwork pattern. And if you're really intentional and think about repositioning your foot, that will just become your default option. Now, what's interesting is when I did this backhand here, it's a decent get, but I noticed when I watched it back, I actually took a small negative step with my left foot. You can see it right there. It's certainly not a positive step. And so although I got this volley, I made my life much more difficult. And so I actually went back and refilmed it. That's another pretty good get. But this time I landed on my right foot, pushed off, took that little reposition with my left foot, and now can get this very difficult ball. So keep this in mind, no negative steps, and you're definitely going to cover more balls at the net moving forward.